Dr. Amanda Price looked out the window of the hospital ship Sanctuary as it moved through space toward the Zephyrian colonies. The stars looked peaceful, but she knew they were heading into danger. A terrible sickness had killed thousands of people on the colonies, and they needed help fast. Amanda walked through the ship's medical bay where 2,000 doctors and nurses were getting ready for the biggest rescue mission in human history. She stopped at a bed where Dr. Kevin Martinez was checking his surgical tools. Kevin was the best children's doctor in the galaxy, and he had left his safe job on Earth to help sick kids he had never met. "Are you ready for this?" Amanda asked. Kevin looked up and smiled. "I became a doctor to save lives. It doesn't matter if those lives are human or alien. Sick children are sick children." Near them, Nurse Lisa Grant was packing medicine into storage boxes. Lisa had worked in war zones for 30 years, helping anyone who needed care. Her hands were steady, but Amanda could see worry in her eyes. "What's bothering you, Lisa?" Amanda asked. Lisa stopped packing and looked at her. "I've been to a lot of dangerous places, Doctor. But this feels different. The reports from the colonies are strange. People are dying too fast for a normal sickness." Amanda nodded. She had read the same reports. The plague was killing people in days, not weeks. Whole families were found dead in their homes. But that was why they had to go. No one else in the galaxy was willing to help. Captain Jake Morrison's voice came over the ship's speakers. "All medical staff, we will reach the Zephyrian colonies in 6 hours. Please finish your preparations." Jake had been flying ships for 20 years, but he had never commanded anything like the Sanctuary. The ship used to carry rich people on vacation trips between planets. Now it was full of hospital beds, surgery rooms, and enough medicine to treat 1 million people. The ship had no weapons, no shields, nothing for fighting. It was built only to heal. Amanda made her way to the bridge where Jake was studying star maps with his crew. The captain was a big man with kind eyes, the type of person who would help a stranger without asking for anything back. "How are we looking, Jake?" Amanda asked. "Good, Doctor. We should be there right on time. My crew has been working with hospital ships for years. We know how to get medical teams where they need to go safely." Amanda looked at the star map. The Zephyrian colonies were far from Earth, in a part of space where few humans had ever traveled. The colonies had been peaceful for decades, trading with Earth and other worlds. They were good people who didn't deserve what was happening to them. "Have we heard anything more from the colonies?" she asked. Jake's face became serious. "The last message came 2 days ago. They said the sickness was spreading faster. Whole cities were going quiet. We might be their last hope." Dr. Martinez joined them on the bridge. "Captain, my team is ready for emergency surgery as soon as we arrive. We've set up 12 operating rooms. How long do we have before we need to leave?" "As long as it takes, Doctor. The Sanctuary isn't going anywhere until every person who can be saved has been saved." Lisa Grant came up behind them carrying a data pad. "I've been looking at the colony population records. There were 2 million people living on those planets. If half of them are sick..." She didn't need to finish. Everyone knew the numbers were terrible. Even with 2,000 medical workers, they would be fighting to save as many lives as possible. Amanda felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. She was the mission leader, which meant every decision was hers to make. Every life that could be saved or lost would be because of choices she made. The hours passed quickly as the Sanctuary traveled through space. The medical teams ran practice drills, tested equipment, and studied everything they knew about alien biology. No one knew if human medicine would work on Zephyrians, but they had to try. Dr. Martinez was teaching a group of young doctors about alien anatomy when the ship's alarm system started making noise. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked around. Captain Morrison's voice came over the speakers again, but this time he sounded worried. "All staff, we have arrived at the Zephyrian system, but we have a problem. There are unknown ships in the area, military ships. They are not from Earth or the colonies." Amanda rushed to the bridge with Kevin and Lisa behind her. Through the main window, she could see the Zephyrian planets in the distance, but between the Sanctuary and the planets were dozens of dark, angular ships unlike anything she had ever seen. "Who are they?" Amanda asked. Jake was talking to his communications officer trying to get answers. "We're not sure, Doctor. They're not responding to our messages. The ships don't match any known design from friendly species." One of the alien ships was much larger than the others, clearly the command vessel. It was moving toward the sanctuary, and Amanda could see weapons on its hull. "Try to contact them again," Amanda ordered. "Tell them we're a medical ship. Tell them we're here to help sick people." The communications officer sent the message in every language and code they knew. For several minutes, there was no answer. Then a harsh, angry voice came through the speakers. "Human vessel, you have entered Corvani territory without permission. This system now belongs to the Corvani Empire. You will leave immediately or be destroyed." Amanda stepped forward to the communication station. "This is Dr. Amanda Price, leader of a medical mission from Earth. We received a distress call from the colonies. There are sick and dying people here who need our help. We are not soldiers. We are doctors and nurses." The alien voice laughed, a sound that made Amanda's skin crawl. "Doctors? Healers? How weak you humans are. The strong survive and the weak die. That is the law of the universe. You will leave now." "We can't leave," Amanda said, her voice shaking but determined. "There are people who will die without our help. Surely you understand that some things are more important than territory or politics." There was a long silence. Then the alien spoke again, and this time his voice was full of contempt. "You want to help the weak? Then you can die with them." The communication channel went dead. On the main screen, Amanda watched in horror as the alien ships began charging their weapons, all pointed directly at the defenseless sanctuary. The news reached Earth in the middle of the night. President Susan Blake was sleeping when her phone rang with the emergency code that meant something terrible had happened. She answered on the first ring. "Madam President, this is Admiral Chris Turner. We have a situation. The hospital ship sanctuary has been destroyed. All hands lost." Susan sat up in bed, her heart pounding. "What do you mean destroyed? They were on a medical mission." "Yes, ma'am. They were attacked by an alien species called the Corvani Empire. The entire ship and everyone on board is gone. 2,000 medical personnel, dead." Susan felt sick to her stomach. She had personally approved the mission to help the Zephyrian colonies. She had shaken hands with Dr. Amanda Price and wished her good luck. Now Amanda and everyone with her were dead. "Get me the Security Council. Emergency meeting in 1 hour." Within minutes, the news was spreading across Earth and all human colonies. Videos from the sanctuary's final transmission showed the alien ships opening fire on the defenseless hospital vessel. People watched in horror as the ship that carried their best doctors and nurses was blown apart in space. At the emergency meeting, Admiral Turner played the complete recording for the world leaders. The room was silent as they watched Dr. Amanda Price trying to explain their peaceful mission to the alien commander. They heard the Corvani leader laugh at human weakness. They saw the weapons fire that ended 2,000 lives in seconds. "This is murder," said Senator Bill Hayes from the Mars colonies. "They killed people who were trying to save lives." Dr. Nathan Brooks, head of the Galactic Health Organization, was crying as he watched the recording. His wife, Rachel, had been on the sanctuary as the mission's head surgeon. He had said goodbye to her just a week ago, thinking she would be home in a month. "They didn't just kill doctors," Nathan said, his voice breaking. "They killed the best of us, people who spent their lives helping others." Rachel delivered babies on 6 different planets. She taught alien children how to walk again after accidents. She never hurt anyone in her entire life. President Blake looked around the room at the faces of Earth's leaders. She saw anger, sadness, and something else. Something that scared her because she felt it too. It was a cold, hard rage that she had never experienced before. "What do we know about these Corvani?" she asked. Admiral Turner brought up files on the main screen. "They're a warrior species. They believe that strength is the only thing that matters. They conquer other planets and make slaves of the people they don't kill. They think helping the weak makes you weak." "How many ships do they have?" "Intelligence says about 50 warships of various sizes. They have better weapons than most species, but their technology isn't as advanced as ours. And how many ships do we have? Turner hesitated. If we're talking about our full military fleet, including the ships we keep in deep storage, we have over 300 warships. The room was quiet for a moment. Everyone knew that Earth had not used its full military power in decades. Humans had become known as explorers, traders, and healers, and most other species thought of them as soft and peaceful. Dr. Brooks stood up, wiping tears from his eyes. I want to say something, and I want the whole galaxy to hear it. He walked to the recording station and began to speak directly into the camera that would broadcast his words to every human world. My name is Dr. Nathan Brooks. My wife Rachel was killed yesterday along with 1,999 other medical workers. They were murdered while trying to save lives. They were killed for showing mercy to the sick and dying. His voice got stronger as he continued. For 50 years, I have dedicated my life to healing. I have taught that all life is precious. I have believed that violence is never the answer. Today, I still believe that healing is sacred. But I also believe that those who kill healers have chosen to be enemies of life itself. He looked directly into the camera. To the Corvani Empire, you have made the biggest mistake in your species' history. You think we are weak because we choose to heal instead of hurt. You think we cannot fight because we prefer to save lives. You are about to learn how wrong you are. President Blake watched Nathan's speech on the screens around the world. In hospitals, doctors and nurses stopped their work to listen. In schools, teachers gathered students to hear the words. On Mars, in the asteroid colonies, on space, stations throughout human territory, people stopped what they were doing and paid attention. The reaction was immediate and powerful. Within hours, military recruitment centers had lines of people waiting to sign up. Not just young people looking for adventure, but doctors, teachers, engineers, and scientists. People who had never held weapons were volunteering to learn how to fight. Dr. Emily Watson, who ran the Children's Hospital on Luna, sent a message to the military. I have spent 20 years taking care of sick children. If someone wants to kill me for that, then I will learn to kill them first. Retired General Patricia Stone, who had spent her last 10 years building schools on frontier worlds, came out of retirement. I taught myself that war was the failure of civilization, she said. But some things are worth fighting for, and protecting our healers is one of them. The change in human society was unlike anything in their history. For generations, humans had been moving away from war and violence. They had built a civilization based on exploration, science, and helping others. But in just a few days, that same civilization was transforming itself into something the galaxy had never seen. Admiral Turner was given emergency powers to mobilize the entire Earth Defense Force. Ships that had been mothballed for decades were pulled out of storage and updated with the latest weapons. The Titan-class battleship Retribution, the largest warship humans had ever built, was recalled from its patrol mission in the Outer Rim. Captain Alex Reed, commander of the Retribution, received his orders while his ship was exploring distant star systems. He read the message twice before calling his crew together. Ladies and gentlemen, we have new orders. We are returning to Earth immediately to lead a military response against an alien species called the Corvani Empire. These aliens attacked and destroyed a hospital ship, killing 2,000 medical personnel. The crew was silent as they absorbed this information. Many of them had joined the military during peacetime, expecting to spend their careers exploring space and protecting trade routes. Now they were being asked to go to war. I know this is not what any of us signed up for, Captain Reed continued, but those people died because they were trying to save lives. They died because they believed that helping others was more important than their own safety. If we don't respond to this attack, then every doctor, every nurse, every person who dedicates their life to healing others will be a target. Chief Engineer Mike Torres raised his hand. Captain, what are our orders exactly? Reed looked at his crew, seeing their faces change as they understood what was happening. Our orders are simple. We are going to the Zephyrian colonies. We are going to find the Corvani fleet. And we are going to destroy every single one of their ships. The transformation was complete. The species that had become known for healing was preparing for war. And across human space, the message was clear. Attack our healers and face our destroyers. The Mars orbital shipyards had never seen anything like it. Ships that had been stored in deep space for 20 years were being brought back to life. Engineers worked around the clock to update weapon systems that most people had forgotten existed. The peaceful human civilization was preparing for war. Captain Alex Reed stood on the bridge of the Retribution as his ship approached the massive shipyard. The Retribution was the largest warship humans had ever built, over 2 miles long and armed with enough firepower to destroy a small moon. For the past 10 years, it had been used for exploration missions in deep space. Now it was coming home, to lead a war fleet. "Captain, we have 36 other ships waiting for us," reported Lieutenant Sarah Johnson, the ship's communications officer. "The stealth destroyers Vengeance and Judgment are already armed and ready. Captain Elena Rodriguez and Captain Tyler Scott are requesting permission to begin patrol duties." Alex nodded. Elena and Tyler were 2 of the best ship commanders in the fleet. Their destroyers were built to sneak up on enemy ships and destroy them before anyone knew they were there. If the Corvani wanted a fight, they would get one they would never forget. "Tell them to begin long-range patrols around the system. I want to know if any alien ship comes within 50 light-years of Earth." Dr. Marcus Webb, the fleet's alien expert, joined Alex on the bridge. Marcus had spent his career studying different species across the galaxy. He was the only person in the fleet who knew anything about the Corvani Empire. "Captain, I've been studying the recordings from the Sanctuary's final transmission. I think I understand why the Corvani acted the way they did." "Explain." Marcus brought up images of Corvani warriors on the main screen. They were tall, thin, creatures with gray skin and sharp teeth. Their ships were built for fighting with weapons covering every surface. The Corvani are what we call a warrior culture. They believe that strength is the only thing that matters in the universe. They think that helping the weak makes you weak. When they saw our hospital ship, they didn't see doctors trying to save lives. They saw what they thought were cowards who were too weak to fight. Alex studied the images. "So they killed our people because they thought we were weak." "Exactly. In their culture, showing mercy is the same as showing weakness. They probably thought they were doing the galaxy a favor by killing our medical staff. Then they don't understand humans very well." Marcus smiled grimly. "No, Captain, they really don't." Lieutenant Commander Ashley Carter, the fleet's weapons officer, approached them with a data pad. Ashley had been working for 3 days straight, making sure every ship in the fleet had the most powerful weapons available. "Captain, we've finished loading the special weapons. Each ship now carries antimatter warheads, plasma lance batteries, and kinetic bombardment systems. The Retribution alone has enough firepower to destroy their entire fleet." Alex looked at the weapons list. Some of these weapons had never been used in actual combat. They had been built during humanity's darker days, when they still fought wars among themselves. After humans had learned to work together, these weapons had been stored away, hoping they would never be needed again. "Are you sure about the antimatter? Warheads? Those things can destroy entire cities." Ashley's face was hard. "Sir, they killed 2,000 doctors and nurses, people who had dedicated their lives to saving others. I think we're past the point of worrying about using too much force." Alex understood her anger. Everyone in the fleet was feeling the same way. The murder of the Sanctuary's crew had changed something fundamental in human nature. People who had spent their entire lives believing in peace and helping others were now preparing for total war. Captain Elena Rodriguez contacted the Retribution from her stealth destroyer Vengeance. Elena had been in the military for 15 years, but she had never fought in a real war. Like most humans of her generation, she had joined the military to explore space and protect trade routes, not to kill aliens. "Alex, we've completed our patrol of the outer system. No sign of Corvani ships, but we did find something else. There are escape pods from the Sanctuary floating in deep space." Alex felt his heart jump. "Survivors?" "No, sir, just debris and personal belongings." "But Alex, we found Dr. Amanda Price's medical bag. It's got pictures of all the children she's helped over the years. Kids from 12 different planets." The bridge became quiet. Everyone knew about Dr. Price. She was famous throughout human space for her work with alien children. She had developed new surgical techniques that had saved thousands of lives. She had never carried a weapon, Never hurt anyone, never done anything but help others. Bring it aboard, Alex said quietly. We'll return it to her family after this is over. Captain Tyler Scott called in from the destroyer Judgment. Tyler was younger than most ship commanders, but he was known for his tactical brilliance. His ship was equipped with the most advanced stealth technology humans had ever developed. Captain Reed, I've been studying the Corvani ship designs. They're built for direct combat, but they have weak spots. Their shields are strong in front, but weaker on the sides. If we can hit them from multiple angles, we can break through their defenses. Good work, Tyler. How many ships do we think they have? Intelligence estimates about 50 ships total, but only 20 of them are real warships. The rest are probably transport vessels and support ships. Alex did the math in his head. 50 Corvani ships against 37 human ships. The numbers were close, but he wasn't worried. Human ships were more advanced, and more importantly, the human crews were fighting for something the Corvani couldn't understand. Dr. Webb pulled up more information about Corvani culture. Captain, there's something else you should know. The Corvani have never fought a species like humans before. Every other species they've conquered either fought back immediately or surrendered immediately. They've never encountered a species that could switch from peaceful to warlike so quickly. What do you mean? Think about it. One day we're sending hospital ships to help sick aliens. The next day we're preparing the largest war fleet in human history. The Corvani probably think they're fighting the same weak species that sent doctors to help their enemies. Ashley Carter smiled as she checked her weapon systems one more time. They're about to learn that the same species that produces the galaxy's best doctors also produces the galaxy's best weapons. The fleet was almost ready. 37 ships filled with humans who had been peaceful their entire lives, now preparing for war. Engineers who had spent their careers building hospitals were now loading antimatter warheads. Scientists who had dedicated their lives to healing were now calculating the best way to destroy enemy ships. Alex walked through the Retribution's corridors, talking to his crew. In the medical bay, he found Dr. Lisa Harper, the ship's chief medical officer. Lisa had volunteered for the mission even though she was supposed to be on vacation. Doctor, are you sure you want to be here? This isn't going to be a peaceful mission. Lisa looked up from the medical supplies she was organizing. Captain, I became a doctor to save lives, but sometimes the only way to save lives is to stop the people who are trying to end them. The Corvani killed my colleagues, my friends, people I went to medical school with. I can't bring them back, but I can make sure this never happens again. Alex nodded. That was the feeling throughout the entire fleet. People who had never wanted to hurt anyone were now determined to destroy an entire alien empire. The Corvani had made the mistake of thinking that peaceful people were weak people. They were about to learn the difference. Admiral Turner's voice came over the ship's communication system. All ships prepare for departure. We jump to hyperspace in 1 hour. Remember, we're not just fighting for revenge, we're fighting to make sure that no one ever again thinks they can murder human medical personnel and get away with it. Alex looked out at the stars, thinking about Dr. Amanda Price and the 2,000 people who had died trying to help others. The Corvani had wanted to see human strength. They were about to get their wish. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyrian system like ghosts appearing in the night. 37 warships materialized in perfect formation, led by the massive battleship Retribution. Captain Alex Reed stood on his bridge, looking at the same space where the hospital ship Sanctuary had been murdered 3 weeks ago. Scanning for enemy ships, reported Lieutenant Sarah Johnson from her station. I'm picking up the Corvani fleet exactly where they were when they destroyed the Sanctuary. 48 ships total, sir. They haven't moved. Alex felt anger burning in his chest. The aliens were still here, probably celebrating their victory over defenseless doctors and nurses. They had stayed in the same place where they had committed murder, like they were proud of what they had done. Are they scanning us? Alex asked. Yes, sir, they're trying to identify our ships. Wait, I'm receiving a transmission from their flagship. The main screen flickered and the face of War Commander Thexmol appeared. The Corvani leader looked exactly like the recordings from the Sanctuary's final transmission. Gray skin, sharp teeth, and cold eyes that showed no mercy or kindness. Human ships, this is War Commander Thexmol of the Corvani Empire. You have entered our territory without permission. Leave immediately or you will be destroyed like the other weak humans who came. Here. Alex stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. War Commander Thexmol, this is Captain Alex Reed of the Earth Defense Force. We are here because you murdered 2,000 medical personnel who were trying to save lives. We are here to make sure you never do that again. Thexmol laughed. The same cruel laugh that had been heard in the Sanctuary's final transmission. More weak humans. You send doctors and nurses to fight wars and now you send more weaklings to die. Your species learns nothing. You think we're weak? Alex asked calmly. I know you are weak. Only weak species waste time helping the sick and dying. Only cowards choose healing over conquest. You humans are the weakest species we have ever encountered. Alex looked around his bridge at his crew. Every person there had lost friends or colleagues on the Sanctuary. Every person there had spent weeks preparing for this moment. You want to see our strength? You're about to get your wish. Alex cut the transmission and turned to his weapons officer. Ashley, target their flagship with everything we have. Yes, sir. All weapons locked on target. Fire. The Retribution's main plasma cannons erupted with the force of a small star. Beams of superheated energy crossed the space between the ships in seconds, striking the Corvani flagship's shields. The alien ship's defenses held for exactly 3 seconds before collapsing, completely. The plasma beams punched through the hull like it was made of paper. War Commander Thexmol's ship exploded in a ball of fire that could be seen from the surface of the nearest planet. The alien leader who had laughed at human weakness was dead, before he even understood what had happened. Direct hit, Ashley reported. Their flagship is completely destroyed. The rest of the Corvani fleet seemed frozen in shock. For several seconds, none of their ships moved or fired their weapons. They had expected another easy victory over weak humans. Instead, their most powerful ship had been destroyed in the first attack. Captain Rodriguez, Captain Scott, you are cleared to begin your attack, Alex said into his communicator. The stealth destroyers Vengeance and Judgment suddenly appeared on both sides of the Corvani formation. They had been invisible until the moment they opened fire, and now their antimatter torpedoes were streaking toward enemy ships. Captain Elena Rodriguez watched from the bridge of the Vengeance as her torpedoes struck 2 Corvani cruisers. The antimatter weapons didn't just destroy the ships, they made them disappear completely, leaving nothing but empty space where they had been. 2 targets eliminated, Elena reported. Moving to next firing position. Captain Tyler Scott's destroyer, Judgment, was attacking from the other side of the enemy formation. His ship's advanced stealth systems kept it hidden while his weapons tore through Corvani ships like a knife through cloth. This is Judgment. 3 enemy vessels destroyed. They can't even find us to shoot back. The Corvani fleet finally began to respond, but their movements were clumsy and panicked. They had built their entire military strategy around intimidating weaker species. They had never faced an enemy that could hit harder than they could. Commander Sarah Johnson launched her fighter squadron from the carrier Fury. 24 small, fast ships spread out across the battlefield, each one piloted by someone who had volunteered for this mission after seeing the Sanctuary's destruction. All fighters, this is Gold Leader, Sarah said over the radio. Remember, these are the beings who killed our doctors and nurses. No mercy. The human fighters moved like a swarm of angry insects, diving between the larger ships and striking at weak points in the Corvani defenses. Sarah's own fighter fired missile after missile into the engine sections of enemy vessels, leaving them dead in space. Gold 2 to Gold Leader, came a voice over the radio. I've got a shot at their command ship. Take it, Gold 2. Make them pay. The human fighter fired a single torpedo that struck the Corvani command vessel's bridge. The explosion took out their communications center, leaving the alien fleet unable to coordinate their defense. Back on the Retribution, Alex watched the battle unfold on his tactical display. Red dots representing Corvani ships were disappearing, one by one, while all of his own ships remained untouched. Sir, the enemy is trying to retreat, Lieutenant Johnson reported. Don't let them. I want every single ship destroyed. Dr. Marcus Webb, who was observing the battle from the bridge, looked uncomfortable. Captain, should we at least try to accept their surrender? Some of their ships have stopped fighting. Alex turned to look at him. Doctor, did they accept the sanctuary's surrender? Did they show mercy to our medical staff? Marcus was quiet for a moment. No, sir, they didn't. Then they get the same mercy they showed our people. None. The battle continued for another 2 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The Corvani ships were destroyed one by one until only their flagship remained. The alien vessel was heavily damaged and trying desperately to escape. Captain Reed, came a transmission from the Corvani ship. This is Acting Commander Vexitar. We surrender. Please show mercy. Alex looked at the image of the alien officer on his screen. The Corvani was obviously terrified, nothing like the arrogant war commander who had laughed at human weakness. Acting Commander Vexitar, did your forces show mercy to the doctors and nurses on the hospital ship Sanctuary? That was War Commander Thexmol's decision. I was only following orders. And now you're asking for the mercy you didn't give to people who were trying to save lives. The alien was silent. Alex turned to his weapons officer. Ashley, prepare the kinetic bombardment system. Sir, targeting the enemy flagship's bridge. Fire. A metal rod traveling at nearly the speed of light struck the Corvani flagship. The impact was so powerful that it didn't just destroy the bridge, it cut the entire ship in half. Acting Commander Vexitar and his crew died instantly. The battlefield was suddenly quiet. 48 Corvani ships had entered the system. Now, there were 48 fields of debris floating in space. All ships report status, Alex ordered. Vengeance reporting, no damage, no casualties. Judgment reporting, minor shield damage, no casualties. Fury reporting, all fighters returned safely, no losses. One by one, every ship in the human fleet reported the same thing. They had destroyed an entire alien fleet without losing a single ship or a single person. Alex walked to the window of his bridge and looked out at the wreckage. Somewhere in that debris were the remains of the beings who had murdered 2,000 doctors and nurses. The people who had laughed at human compassion were now nothing but space dust. Communications, send a message to Earth. Tell them the mission is complete. The Corvani Empire's fleet has been destroyed with no human casualties. Lieutenant Johnson looked up from her station. Sir, what should I tell them about survivors? Alex was quiet for a long moment, thinking about Dr. Amanda Price and all the others who had died trying to help strangers. He thought about the Corvani commander who had called humans weak for caring about the sick and dying. Tell them there are no survivors. Tell them that the beings who killed our healers have learned what happens when you mistake compassion for weakness. The message was sent across human space within minutes. The species that had been known throughout the galaxy for their peaceful nature had just fought their first major war in generations. And they had won it completely, totally, and without mercy. The destroyers had been unleashed, and the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The news of the Corvani fleet's complete destruction spread across the galaxy like wildfire. In less than 24 hours, every major species had heard the same incredible story. The peaceful humans, known throughout space for their doctors, and diplomats had wiped out an entire alien empire without losing a single ship. On the planet Nexus Prime, home to the Galactic Trade Council, Ambassador Zethron of the Altarian Republic sat in his office reading the battle reports. The Altarians had always considered humans to be useful but weak trading partners. They bought human medical technology and hired human doctors, but they had never thought of humans as a military threat. This cannot be accurate, Zethron said to his aide. Humans do not fight wars. They send hospital ships and peace negotiators. His aide, a young Altarian named Koltar, brought up video recordings from the battle. Sir, these are the actual recordings from the human fleet. Watch this. The video showed the human battleship Retribution destroying the Corvani flagship with a single volley. Zethron watched in amazement as the alien ship simply vanished under the power of human weapons. How do they have weapons like that? Zethron asked. We have traded with humans for decades. They never showed us technology like this. Sir, it appears that humans have been hiding their true military capabilities. Intelligence reports suggest they have over 300 warships in storage, many with weapons we have never seen before. Zethron felt a chill run down his spine. The Altarians had been planning to demand lower prices for human medical supplies, thinking the humans were too weak to refuse. Now he realized that the humans could probably conquer his entire home system if they wanted to. On Earth, President Susan Blake stood before the United Nations Assembly to address not just humanity, but the entire galaxy. Representatives from 47 different species had gathered to hear what humans planned to do next. Fellow beings of the galaxy, President Blake began. 3 weeks ago, an alien empire called the Corvani murdered 2,000 human medical personnel. These doctors and nurses were killed while trying to save lives on the Zephyrian colonies. They were killed because they showed compassion to the sick and dying. The assembly was completely silent. Everyone had heard about the battle, but this was the first time human leadership had explained their actions publicly. Today, I am announcing the Sanctuary Doctrine. This doctrine states that any attack on human medical personnel, research stations, or humanitarian missions will be considered an act of war against all of humanity. Any species that harms our healers will face our destroyers. Blake paused to let her words sink in. We remain a peaceful species. We will continue to send doctors to help the sick, scientists to share knowledge, and diplomats to solve problems. But we will no longer allow anyone to mistake our compassion for weakness. The recording of President Blake's speech was broadcast to every inhabited world in the galaxy. Within hours, 3 different species that had been planning attacks on human colonies sent urgent diplomatic messages asking for peace talks. Admiral Chris Turner was promoted to Supreme Commander of all human military forces. His first order was to establish permanent patrol fleets in 12 different sectors of space. Any alien ship that approached a human medical mission would now find human warships waiting for them. Captain Alex Reed was given command of the new 1st Defense Fleet, based around the battleship Retribution. His ships would be responsible for protecting human humanitarian missions throughout the galaxy. Dr. Nathan Brooks, who had lost his wife on the Sanctuary, was put in charge of building a new hospital ship. The Sanctuary 2 would be twice as large as the original, equipped to treat 1 million patients. But unlike its predecessor, the new ship would travel with a full military escort. We learned something important, Dr. Brooks said at the dedication ceremony for the new ship. Healing is sacred, but healers need protection. The galaxy is full of beings who see kindness as weakness. We will continue to be kind, but we will no longer be defenseless. Dr. Lisa Grant, one of the few survivors found in the escape pods from the original Sanctuary, was chosen to lead the first mission of the Sanctuary 2. She had spent 3 weeks floating in space, kept alive by emergency systems, thinking about her friends and colleagues who had died. I became a nurse to help people, Lisa said as she prepared for the new mission. I still want to help people, but now I know that sometimes the only way to protect the innocent is to destroy those who would harm them. The Sanctuary 2's first mission was to the Andromedan refugee crisis, where millions of people needed medical care after their planets had been destroyed by a natural disaster. But this time, the hospital ship was accompanied by the battleship, Guardian, and 12 escort vessels. Captain Elena Rodriguez, now promoted to Admiral, commanded the Guardian. Her job was to make sure that no one would ever again attack human medical personnel. Any ship that comes within weapons range of the Sanctuary 2 will be destroyed immediately, Rodriguez announced as the fleet approached the crisis zone. We are here to heal the sick and help the suffering. Anyone who tries to stop us will learn what the Corvani learned. The alien refugees were amazed by the size of the human medical mission. Thousands of doctors and nurses worked around the clock to save lives, while human warships patrolled the area to keep them safe. Dr. Marcus Webb, now the fleet's chief alien specialist, worked with the refugee leaders to coordinate care. The aliens had never seen anything like human medical technology, and they were grateful for the help. Why do you help us? Asked Kethlon, leader of the Andromedan refugees. We have nothing to offer you in return. Dr. Webb smiled. Because helping others is what humans do. We believe that all life is precious, and that those who can heal have a duty to heal. But your warships, they are very powerful. Why do you need so many weapons if you only want to help? Because, Dr. Webb said, looking up at the stars where the Guardian and its escorts patrolled, We learned that there are beings in this galaxy who will kill healers just because they can. We decided that we will never let that happen again. Word of the human response spread throughout space. Pirates who had been planning to attack medical convoys changed their minds. Warlords who had thought about capturing human doctors for their own use decided it was too dangerous. The Corvani Empire had been completely destroyed, but their attack had changed humanity forever. The species that had been known for peace and healing was now also known as the most dangerous enemy anyone could make. 6 months after the battle, Captain Alex Reed stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the Sanctuary 2 treat patients in the Vega system. His ship and 11 others formed a protective circle around the hospital vessel, ready to destroy anyone who threatened the medical mission. "Captain," Lieutenant Sarah Johnson reported, "we're receiving a message from the Sanctuary 2. Dr. Grant says they've successfully treated over 50,000 patients this month." Alex smiled. "Good. That's what we're here for." "Sir, we're also receiving messages from 6 different species, asking if they can hire human doctors for their own colonies. Tell them yes, but make sure they understand the rules. Human medical personnel go wherever they're needed and they're protected by human warships. Anyone who harms our healers answers to us." Alex looked out at the stars, thinking about Dr. Amanda Price and the others who had died on the original Sanctuary. Their sacrifice had taught humanity an important lesson about the galaxy they lived in. The universe was full of wonders and beauty, but it was also full of beings who respected only strength. Humans had tried to survive on compassion alone, but that had made them targets. Now they had found a better way. They would continue to heal the sick, explore the unknown, and help those in need. But they would do it protected by the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever seen. "We heal when we can," Alex said quietly, repeating the words that had become humanity's new motto. "We destroy when we must, and we never forget the difference." The human fleet continued its patrol, guardian angels watching over the healers. Below, the galaxy had learned that attacking Earth's healers would bring Earth's destroyers, and that lesson would never be forgotten.